Hello everybody, Boxing Fool here, and welcome to what I hope will be the first of a series of videos that is geared toward the new players, or players that have never really played an MMO or RPG style game. MMO stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Game, or MPROG for short, depends on how you want to say it. Basically, a bunch of people just like you will log into a common server and are able to group together and play together. It's different than the traditional RPG in a sense, as you will be interacting with other players such as yourself. So, again, this video is going to be geared toward players that have never really experienced an MMO. And let's go ahead and get started. And just want to note, players that are familiar with MMOs or EverQuest in general will probably find this video pretty much boring. So let's go ahead and get started. After you download and install the game, you're going to start it and you're going to click on the create an account. I will probably make a video on that as well, but I hope you can at least install and create an account. There is no credit card information required. I believe just an email account, some general information, and you create your own user ID and password, and that's what you use to log into the game with. Once you log in, you will come to the server selection screen, which is displayed right here, and you will see a list of servers. Now, this particular account is a free-to-play account, so we are missing the role-playing or the RPG servers. I shouldn't say the role-playing, but the progression servers. My apologies. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to look through this list, then find a server that may appeal to you, click on it. As you can see, we can highlight several different servers that are available to us. I myself have characters on Povar. You are free to choose any other server you want. And let's see, and here we go. We also have the Zek server, which is a PvP server, pretty much unforgiving. For the most part, especially for a noob, because players can attack other players and kill them. So if that's your style or you want to venture into that, feel free. But I'm going to go ahead and start on a blue server, or pretty much a Care Bear server. I am going to go ahead and select Povar as my server. And what we're going to do is we are going to click on Play EverQuest. And we will be coming to a server or a character selection screen here. And as you can see, I already have a level 85 character. This is a heroic character. This was available for a limited time for free. I created one. You can create one or buy into one with real cash. I believe at the present time it's going to be $35. The character will be starting out at level 85 with a complement of full set of gear, as well as a spell book if you are a caster, and as well as AAs to match, or alternate advancements to match. But again, this video is geared for players that have never really played this type of game before. So what we're going to do, as opposed to focusing on the heroic characters, let's go ahead and create a level 1 character. But before we move past that, as you can see up here, we are showing a free member, as I am not paying for this game as far as a monthly subscription or any other cash that's coming out of my pocket. And you down here, if you wish to subscribe, which in later levels it would be highly advantageous to subscribe so you can get more alternate advancements and things like that, but it's not required. You can quit, and you have a couple of other options. You have your character selection screen. As you can see, I already have one of two available. You can buy a slot. Again, this is going to be for real cash. You can create a character. You can delete your character if you do not like him. If you are a level 1 through 10, you can enter the tutorial. You can return home, which is very convenient for classes that can't gate, or you're stuck in a place where you pretty much can't get out. And then you can enter the world once you have your character selected. But for this video, let's go ahead and start with creating a character. So let's go ahead and click on Create Character. You will come to a menu which will show you the races that are available to you on the left hand side of the screen. And if you notice, when I flip through these character races, the class selection on the right hand side of the screen will change. So at this time, not all races have all classes available to them. Now, I am just quickly switching through the races just so you can kind of get a graphic idea of what they will look like in game. Those were the female, so if I move back over to the male, graphics on some of them will be slightly different. And again, depending on the class or the race that you pick, you will be presented with a list of classes. Let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to go ahead and select a dark elf, and here we have a cleric. A cleric by itself is pretty much the healer of the group. Players will depend on you to keep them alive. You have an enchanter. Enchanter is a caster class. They are basically crowd control. A pretty high learning curve for the most part to really get some good skill down with that. Magician, they are again a caster class, but they come with a quite powerful pet that is used for tanking. That is probably going to be more of a solo friendly class. There is somewhat of a learning curve on that, but once you get the hang of it, you're pretty much set for the rest of the game. Necromancer, they are just under the magician as far as being able to solo, and just at a slight level. Their solo techniques will be just somewhat different, as they are going to be using damage over time spells for the most part. The magician, they will be using their pet to tank, and they will be using what we call direct damage and rain spells. We'll get to those spells later on. Rogue, they're pretty much a melee class. Get yourself a set of daggers and have at it. They are not tank classes, and for the most part, they aren't really considered a tank once we start getting into group content and stuff like that. Now, the Shadow Knight is a tank class. They are a combination of tank and melee. They will use what they call life taps to heal themselves, as well as a complement of damage over time and direct damage spells. They also have a pet that will help them out, but it's not that powerful, but it does tend to help in certain situations. We have a warrior. They are a straight up melee tank. Probably the least learning curve. Basically, you equip your armor, you equip your sword or what have you, and a shield, and have at it. Whoever goes down first is the winner. Pretty much straightforward. Then you have your wizard. They are a pure caster class. They have no pets. They are probably the most damage dealing as far as between the magician and the mage. They can crank out some pretty wicked damage, but again, once you start engaging in melee, you're pretty much toast. Again, that may require a little more of a learning curve to learn how to play that class as far as what we call aggro management. Here, right below the class selection screen, we have deity. You can choose from agnostic, and you also have a couple of other ones, again, depending on your race that you choose and sometimes your class. You can change their appearance, hair color, eyes, just play with it however you would like it. Once you find something that works for you, go ahead and accept it. And if you want to redistribute your points, you can by clicking on Advanced. I don't recommend it, but if you feel the need to, feel free. Here, again, as I mentioned earlier, we have the tutorial. Typically, this will always put you in the tutorial unless you checked it. As you see here, it is checked. Now it is unchecked. As you can see, this little almost looks like it's depressed. So I will enter tutorial here. This will take me into Crescent Reach. Again, the tutorial and Crescent Reach. So, and then we can cancel, or we can go ahead and upgrade to a heroic character if you have purchased it. Let me go back to the classes for a minute, and here we have a barbarian. Here we have a beast lord. They are somewhat of a hybrid melee and pet. They have a pretty powerful pet, but they pretty much join in the combat with the pet. Berserker, they are a melee class similar to a rogue, but they also have abilities that they use to really crank out some real nice damage. Again, the rogue, and then the shaman here, they are a priest class similar to a cleric, but they will also have dots or damage over time, so direct damage spells, and they are a pretty good healer too once you get higher in level. Let's see. Here we have a half-elf. And here we have a bard. A bard is pretty much a player that's going to be singing songs, the melee type, and they are pretty much the pullers of the group. We'll get into that a little later on. We have a druid. They are also a priest type class. They have heals. They also have the ability to teleport. And I failed to mention the wizards also have the ability to teleport not only themselves but groups around the world of EverQuest. Comes in pretty handy at times. We also have a paladin. They are the tank class, just the mirror side of a Shadow Knight. Shadow Knight will be like the evil version of a paladin. We have a ranger. They are, again, melee. They have a bow that they can use, and at later levels, that bow is pretty powerful too. And then the standard characters. But let's go ahead and go back to the Dark Elf, and let's go ahead and create a mage. You can go through and select any other class you wish, and select any other race as well. Well, I shouldn't say any other race, but select a race and select a class that's available to them that you feel you would be comfortable with. Once you got a race and a class combination that you like, if you wish, go ahead and change the deity. You can't change the starting city, don't worry about that, but make sure this tutorial is pressed just like it is here, because that's where we want to wind up. Before we move in, we're gonna have to give the character a name. Here you can type in whatever name you want, and as you can see, it appears at the top. You can do a random name generator, find some name that you like. If you like that name, that's fine. If you say, you know what, that name gives me an idea, let me go ahead and back out of it and change it. There we go. That's the name that you like. And once you feel free or you like the name, you can go ahead and click on Enter World. And if it likes the name, it's going to say, here, let's go into the world. Now, as you can see, we've got the loading screen, and it is loading an instance of the Mines of Glooming Deep. So this process will take it a while, and let's go ahead and just kind of hurry up and wait at this point. Here we go with a splash screen. Here you can read through it, or you can press escape to skip. Basically, it just kind of gives you a backstory of what's going on with Glooming Deep. You're taken prisoner, and it's your job to escape. So let's go ahead and click on escape to go ahead and get into some action here. Now, you're going to be presented with a screen similar to this. Pay attention to this movement tip here. Here it's basically telling you the movement keyboard: W to move forward, A to turn left, S backwards, D to turn right, X to duck, space for jump. So pretty simple. If I press the W, I'll move forward. S, I'll move back. D, I pan or turn. A, I pan or turn. So, and here we go. We got the X to duck. This is going to be convenient to stop casting or stop action. And then unpress, and we unduck. So we stayed duck, and then we unduck if we press it again. Space bar. If we press the space bar here, we're going to jump. Really, you can't raise that skill, but it comes in handy in very limited situations. Mouse look. Here you can use the mouse wheel. This will give you a first to move out of the first person perspective as I am right now. As you can see, once I scroll out, as you can see, there is the name that we give in our character. And if I scroll back in, scroll out again, and if I hold the right mouse button down, I can kind of pan around as I'm holding it down. Depending on your play style, you might like that. Or if you want to scroll back in and go into first person view, that's fine. Also here, use F9 to change your views. It will cycle you through the complete set, winding back up at your first person view. So F9. Let me move this window out of the way. And then let's go ahead and do an F9 again. F9, F9, F9. And then back to first person view. And again, WASD. As you noticed, I am moving these windows around. Feel free to move these windows around. And to move them, if you notice, my little mouse arrow is a little arrow, traditional mouse cursor. But if I move it to just to the edge of the window, it turns to a different cursor. In this case, arrow up and down, I can expand or close the window. Or if I move it down just ever so slightly, it turns into 4 arrows, which will let me just move it to where I like on the screen. Get everything out of the way, or move it to a place that I like. Excuse me. Now, here we have another window. This is going to come in handy to kind of take you through the Mines of Glooming Deep. We have a voice bar. The game does have voice ability, so if you have a headset, feel free to play around with that and use that if you so wish to choose. Here's a targets window. That's going to come in handy later on. Again, feel free to move that to where you would like. You have two chat windows here. You have your main chat and your other chat. Again, let's go ahead and, if you wish, move those around. Those are going to come in handy for communication and what's going on with other things, stuff like that. Here we have an extended target window. This is going to come in very handy very later on. Later on I should say. Basically, you can assign roles, or you can keep it just as it is, and it's basically going to list the targets that are aggroing or targeting, or you have targeted. Right here is your basic character window. The red bar represents your health, blue bar mana. Some classes have that, some classes don't. The yellow bar represents your stamina, and this little icon right here represents the mode that you're in. And if you mouse over it, you are not in combat and you're resting at this time. Basically, you're going to be gaining your stamina, health, and mana at a higher than normal rate. If you noticed, we have this upgrade window. Basically, I am a free player at this point, and they're saying, hey, if you subscribe, you can do a lot more in the game. Again, subscribing later on will come in very handy as far as advancement abilities and stuff like that. Something you might want to look into later on. Or if you're thoroughly enjoying the game, feel free to subscribe. Highly recommend it. Here, you can either upgrade. I don't know where it's going to take you. It'll probably take you to a window to set up a subscription. You can minimize it or close it. I just minimize it. Here we have a SC and EQ. Those you cannot close, but you can move them out of the way. These take you to the station cache, where you can buy little upgrades for your character, bags that hold more things like that. Really not big game changers, just another avenue for Sony to make some more money off of EverQuest. I do highly recommend buying some bags, some bigger bags. Very helpful through your journeys. Here, if you click on the EQ button, you come up with another window here that you can scroll through that lets you do certain things. We'll get to those things later on as we need to. Again, if we unclick it or click it again, the window disappears. Click it, appears, disappears. As you can see, I closed out of the movement window, but again, WASD to move around. And let's go ahead and continue a little bit more. Again, if you've got your windows moved around to where you like them, that's fine. And here up here we have our little window selector screen here. Basically lets you go into certain windows. This is your basic character selections or your character sheet. As you can see, we are completely naked to the world. We have a simple dagger and a lantern. I have a backpack and a note, but pretty much I am naked to the world. This panel on the left here is going to be a basic character information screen, probably a quick view for lack of a better term, lets you know how much you have until your next level, and then your stats is going to be pretty much an expanded or more detailed view of your character selection screen. Excuse me. Evolution. This is pretty much some weapons in the game or some items in the game will evolve as you venture through EverQuest. They're pretty fun to have around and kind of, for lack of a better term, level up as you use them. Shrouds, they were introduced quite a few expansions ago, but basically this will let you turn into a monster at lower levels and run around as a monster and complete monster missions. They're fun, but they had their day and time. Alternate currency, basically this is going to be used when you adventure through EverQuest and the lands. Here are some tokens for loyalty. They have a loyalty vendor in the Plane of Knowledge where you can buy some handy stuff. And your mercenary window. A mercenary window is basically you can hire a mercenary to follow you around. It's going to be a permanent mercenary, and basically at lower levels it's not going to cost you anything. Once you get to a certain level, they will start taking money from you every 15 minutes to stick around. They do come in handy, and it's not a lot of money that they're going to be taking from you. They do come in handy and highly recommended, especially for the new player. So let's go ahead and close out of this window. Again, you can access it through this little hotbar here by clicking and unclicking, or if you see where it has inventory I, if I press the I on the keyboard, I can open and close it as well. This next button is an options button. You really don't need to worry about that right now, but if you want to look through it, I would not recommend changing anything just yet. Here is basically there's your friends window. So if you're adventuring through EverQuest and you find somebody that you like to group with, you can add them to your friends list and you can quickly communicate to them. Very handy. It's as simple as hey, Bob is a good friend of mine. I always like to play with him. Let's go ahead and add him to the list. Or if you have somebody that consistently bugs you, or just annoys you, you can add them to this list and you won't see anything from them. Same thing with, I believe, this one right here, if I'm correct, the muted. I don't know exactly how that's going to work or not, but let's go ahead and the friends window is, again, this little icon with 2 or 3 people on it, and or you can do an Alt and then F. You have your hotbar window or your hot buttons. This is going to come in extremely handy. Again, once it pops up, go ahead and move it to where you want. These windows will automatically open up. I believe you're going to get another one once you once you complete this little tutorial here. Your spells. As you can see, we got a little bar over here, pretty much not conveniently located for me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to where I like to see it, which is right over here. And let me go ahead and adjust these windows again. If you notice, our cursor is going to be to the little 4 arrows, and it's going to allow me to move these windows around. And feel free to adjust this little screen here to your liking. You don't need to set it up exactly like mine. You're going to find a way to what's going to be more convenient for you. These other ones are pretty handy since I'm going to be playing a mage, which is a pet class. I'm going to want this little pet window opened up. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way. This is going to come in handy during our tutorial. And here is our quick or our songs. These are basically what we call buffs to help you out along the way. They will little icons will pop in here from time to time, and letting you know that it's active. You can mouse over it and right click on it, and it will give you some properties of what that is doing. If you have a guild, here's your guild management window, and maps. yes, we do have a map window, and you can move it around. And if you see, we've got our little arrow here, and if I move around, we are showing our movement on the map. So, map. We can either press the icon, or here it says backspace, or the backspace button, and it opens up. Storyline. This basically gives you stories about what's going on. Pretty fun, especially players, so you can kind of get a history of EverQuest and what's going on with it. Recommend reading through that for your new players. Here is a quest window. This is going to come in very handy. Learn how to use it. Let's go ahead and close this out for the meantime. Mail. If you are a subscriber, you can send mail, but if you do not have a monthly account, you can only receive it. Here, if you need some help, you can press on the little question mark here, and then your mercenary window. Since I do not have a mercenary, it will not come up for me. But let's go ahead and continue. Now, for some other things other than movement, as you can see what I'm doing here, again with the WASD, you can also use, if you have the arrow keys on your keyboard. So the up arrow, the back arrow, the left, and the right arrow will also allow me to move. Since I don't want to make this tutorial too long, I'm going to go ahead and stop this one right here, and we'll go ahead and pick this up in our second video, and a couple of other things about chat and moving through this basic tutorial here. Thanks for watching. I'm the Boxing Fool, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.